ॐ ज्ञानं तिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, so I believe we are on chapter 13. Starting that? Okay. Yeah.
Babuji, you're on mute.
Sorry, yes, Rataji. Thank you. Okay, so this is a very special chapter. It's has the title Kshetra Kshetragya Vibhaga Yoga. So this is a very philosophical chapter. Something is wrong here. Everything is okay. Let's see. Why is it saying? Okay. Your share scaring is paused. It's saying. Okay. Stop share. Reshare again. There you go. So, 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing here? How long am I here? Is there something beyond? So, this one, it talks about kshetra and kshetragya, which is the material world, kshetra, and kshetragya, which is the knower of the material world, which can refer to 2 things. What 2 things can kshetragya refer to? Anyone want to suggest?
Soul and super soul?
Yes, both are knowers. The knower of the body is the soul. The knower of the body and the world is the super soul. So we are understanding Prakriti and Kshetra, enjoyer, Purusha and Kshetragya. It refers to the Purusha. And Purusha, the supreme Purusha, that's why Krishna is called Purushottama. The supreme Purusha is Krishna, and we are small Purushas. And then consciousness, Jnana and Gyeya. Understanding the difference between the body, the soul, and the supersoul, cultivate divine qualities and attain liberation from this material world. This is the purpose. To understand the difference between the body, the soul, and the supersoul, and cultivate divine qualities and attain liberation from this material world. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the knower of the body, the living entity, and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the supersoul in regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. So, understanding the connection between the Bhakti section and the Jnana section will help reveal the reason that Jnana is discussed last. In text 12:7, Lord Krishna promised to save his devotees from the path of birth and death. Chapters 13 to 18 fulfill this promise by supplying the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate oneself from material entanglement. So the the first 6 are discussing. That's what I was a little confused here, because the first 6 chapters, the knower of the body described. The middle 6 are bhakti. So the first 6 are discussing some jnana as well. In the middle, you have bhakti, and then finally, again, you have jnana, but jnana that is based on bhakti. Because certain knowledge is just like we say, we shouldn't speculate, right? So knowledge is not considered to be very high. But the knowledge of, for example, of Srimad Bhagavatam is also knowledge, but that is considered the highest. That is considered non-different than bhakti. So the knowledge of how to become relieved from the path of birth and death, how to surrender to Krishna, how to love Krishna, that's not exactly, that's not speculative knowledge, and that is not exactly just jnana, it's bhakti. because that knowledge is taking us closer to Krishna. And that knowledge has a different sense. Just like many people, they don't like knowledge or they don't like to study. They're not, intellectual people, but they like reading Bhagavatam. They relish Bhagavatam. They relish Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because it's not really the cultivation of knowledge. It's bhakti, it's devotional service. So here it's being said that the connection between bhakti and jnana uh, reveal to us why jnana is being discussed last, because it is this bhakti that allows the soul to enter into the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, which is different than speculative knowledge. One who understands the difference between the body, the soul, and the supersoul, beyond them both, attains liberation from this material world. One who understands the difference between the body, the soul, and the supersoul, beyond them both, attains liberation from this material world. So, when we understand the difference between Jagat, Atma, and Paramatma, all of Vedanta talks about three things: the world, the soul, and God. When we understand the difference between these things, then we attain to the spiritual world. We can gain liberation from this material world. Why are we in this material world? Because right now we mix up the soul and the body. We think that they're the same. We don't distinguish the spiritual nature from the material nature, and we think material people to be God. So the understanding between Jagat, Atma, and Paramatma is all mixed up. It's not clear. Text 1, Arjuna's 6 questions. Arjuna inquires about matter, spirit, and knowledge. Matter is Prakriti or Kshetra. Spirit is Purusha and Kshetragya. And knowledge is Jnana and Gyeya. So he asks 6 questions. What is Prakriti? What is Kshetra? What is Purusha? Like this, he goes through all 6 of them. And here are the 6 questions of Arjuna. And this is what we discussed. Prakriti is nature, Purusha is enjoyer, Kshetra, which is also similar to Prakriti, is the field of activities. Kshetragya is the knower of the field, which is the Purusha. Jnana is the knowledge and the process of knowing, both. And Gyeya is the object of knowledge. So Krishna very quickly answers these. Text 1 is Arjuna's 6 questions. Text 2 to 7, Krishna explains the field of activities and the knower of the field. 8 to 12, Krishna further explains the process of knowledge and liberation. Text 13 to 19, Krishna explains the object of knowledge. Text 20 to 26, Krishna explains Prakriti, Purusha, and their union. And text 27 to 35 is Jnana Chakshusha, the vision of knowledge. Description of Kshetra and Kshetragya. Krishna explains that the field of activity, Kshetra, is the body, and the knower of the body, Kshetragya, is the soul. There's also a second Kshetragya, the super soul, who is the knower of all fields. So, like we said, there's 2 knowers, there's 1 Kshetra, and the difference between us and God is we just know our field. But Krishna is such that he knows all the fields of knowledge, everyone. I know my body, but I don't know other people's bodies. Therefore, I am the Ishvara of my body, but I'm not Parameshwar, because my knowledge is so limited. This is where the Mayavadis go wrong. But Krishna is such that he knows the happiness and distress of all the bodies, and he's cognizant of every single one. Krishna answers question 3 and 4 by saying that the body is the field of activity, The soul is the knower number one of the field of activities. What does it mean? According to his capacity to dominate material nature and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification when is given a particular body. Right? So Prabhupada explains that um, that it is according to the soul's capacity that they get a certain kshetra. And what does capacity mean in this context? We're all spirit souls. We're all powerful. Um, you know, uh, we are all, you could say, meant to be servants of Krishna. So the soul is so powerful. So why capacity? Capacity means according to one's karma, one's pious activities. Right? So someone has a greater capacity because of their pious activities. So they may get a different kshetra, and their capacity to enjoy sense gratification is again their allotment. Then they get a body that's very suited for that. A person thinks, well, why did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? These people, they're so fit and healthy, and I've always had some health issue, or I've always had some, physical limitation, or I'm short, I'm big, I'm, whatever our things may be. But we should understand that this is all just the workings of the modes of material nature. One person is big, one person is small, one person is thin, one person is fat, because of the karma. And so because of their own activities, they develop a certain capacity by which they can enjoy material nature. The supersoul is the knower number two of the field of activities. And jnana is knowledge of the body, the soul, and the supersoul. So um, the analogy that Prabhupada gives in the purport of the kshetra is like a farm, right? And the field is the body. And whatever plants we put, whatever seeds we put in the ground, that is the crop we get. And accordingly, we have happiness and distress. Happiness and distress. The soul is the knower of the body. The super soul is knower of all the bodies, like we said. How the body is constituted is explained in text 6 and 7. What changes the bodies undergo is text 7 and 20. How, where, when the body is produced is text 6, 21, 22, and 30. The identity of the knower of the field of activities is described thus, and the influence of the knower is described thus. Text for Krishna raises 5 topics. How the body is constituted, answered in text 6 and 7. The 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, and the mind, the 5 sense objects, the aggregate, the life symptoms, and convictions. This is everything that makes up the material body. And when we think of body, we just think physical elements. But that's not just our body. When we think of body, so you're not the body. Okay, yeah, what they're talking about is, I'm not this thing that weighs 200 pounds. But that's just one aspect of the body. Our body that encases the soul is so much more complex. The subtle body is far more complex than the physical body. The false ego, the intelligence, the senses, the mind, all of those things coming together, forming this subtle body that is that is bringing so many impressions from previous lifetimes. It has the false ego, the intelligence, how the intelligence is used, the mind and the senses, the sense of touch, taste, sight. So it's such a complex uh, network that we are in. It's not just the physical body, which in of itself is unimaginably complex. Right? There's trillions and trillions of neurons firing in our brain at every moment. Trillions. So, I mean, just physically, it's so complex, but what to speak on the subtle level? And all of that is still material. What to speak of the spiritual level? How amazing that must be. What changes the body undergoes? Answered in text 7 and 20. Desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, and convictions, their transformations, and the modes of material nature are products of material nature. These are all, again, these subtle elements, desire, hatred, happiness, and distress, are even our convictions. They're all made from the network of the modes of nature. Even our convictions, I'm so convinced about this. But that's based on our experience. And our experience is all what the experience we're talking about is material. So we only understand the material. But when we understand the spiritual, then we really understand who we are. And those convictions that are based on the spiritual level, those are true convictions. Here's very interesting. They've shown the faces. So every face is a manifestation of a certain mindset, mode, and modes of nature. Please hold just one second. Krishna raises 5 topics: how, where, when the body is produced, is answered in text 6, 21, 22, and 30. In these texts, he answers where, how, where, when the body is produced. Nature is said to be the cause of all material causes and effects, whereas a living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. This is due to his association with that material nature. All activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and the self does nothing. This is very interesting because you find this all over Vedic literature where it says the self does nothing. And even Krishna in the Gita says, right? Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. So what does that mean? What it means is that the mudha thinks that I am the doer of activities. But the fact is, we are not the doer of activities. Krishna is the only doer of all the activities. Right? He is the only one. But then if he's the only one, then what are we doing here? Right? What is our role? How is it that we actually also are the doers? Krishna is not responsible for our sinful activities. It must be that there's something that the soul does. And what does the soul do? Nature is said to be the cause of everything, even our accomplishments, our desires, everything are produced of our atmosphere, of our nature, of the nature around us, the environment around us, right? If I am, born in the family of carpenters, then I'll have, desires of making tables and chairs. If I'm born in a family of business persons, I may have the desire to do some business, etc., etc. So then what is the role of the soul? The self does nothing. All activities are performed by the body. They're carried out by material nature. That's what Krishna is saying. Prakriti kriyamanani. Everything's carried out by Prakriti. And the person who thinks that they are the doer, they are a vimudha, not even a fool. They're like a big fool. So then what does the self do? The self can only desire. So even though even the desires are created by the material nature, but which desires we choose, that is up to us. The self's role is the free will. So these desires are like clouds traveling in the sky, right? There's a like, because I mean, you especially as you get older, you see there's like a network of desires. There's like unlimited things that a person can pursue. Anything that you pursue, you can become, very involved in it. Like, if someone wants to become a dolphin trainer, they can, in a few years, become a very world famous, world class dolphin trainer. So, I mean, anything you can do, from the weirdest things, one just needs an interest in it. So the desires are there in unlimited forms, floating in this world. But it's our choice. Are we wanting to move in the direction of goodness or move in the direction of passion and ignorance? Like how you adjust it and which direction you go in. That is, that is the free will of the soul. That's really the only thing the soul does, is that it makes a sequence of millions of desires. I desire this, I move here, I go there. I desire to go to the ice cream shop rather than maybe finishing my rounds. I desire to sit extra or stand extra in the shower, even though if I do it quicker, I'll have more time to do my morning program. Life is millions of desires. So it's like, well, I mean, one small desire, like, how does that create my destiny? No, it's millions of small desires that add, subtract all these things together and determine our future. There's another transcendental enjoyer, the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the supersoul. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. The supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of material nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature. He is a source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge. He is the goal of knowledge. Any knowledge that we have, we're so proud of it. It's Krishna. It's given by Krishna. He is situated in everyone's heart. So there's now, so Krishna describes how there's a soul that's not really doing anything, and then there's a super soul. And this super soul has his hands, faces, and ears everywhere. What does this mean? That Krishna has his hands, legs, eyes, heads, and faces everywhere. Does anyone want to suggest? The question is, what does this passage mean? Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces. What does this mean?
He's omniscient
He's omniscient, very nice. Okay.
and omnipresent.
And omnipresent. Okay. So the text could just say that, like Krishna as a super soul, he is present everywhere. Why particularly his hands, legs, eyes, heads, and faces? and ears everywhere. So you're absolutely right. He's omnipresent, but why specifically like this? What is it? What is the Bhagavad Gita communicating to us here?
Maybe witnessing the Brahma also companionship.
Witnessing, very good. What else? Someone. What this is saying is that all of the hands, legs, and ears and eyes in this world are actually Krishna's heads, faces, ears, and eyes. It is his hands and legs. You know, the Olympian who wins the race, the person who can barely walk, all of their legs or hands, they're Krishna's. It's his heads. And through those eyes, ears, and heads, Krishna is performing his work. Right? He inspires someone to do something or allows them to do something. And he has lent us these hands, legs, eyes, heads, and faces. And with our free choice, we are choosing how to use them under some restriction, right? With some level of restriction. So that is the key thing here that is being described, that how even our senses, our bodies, they belong to the Lord, right? That's the message of the Bhagavatam, that everyone belongs to the Lord. All the gopis, they belong to Krishna. The other husbands who are actually, quote unquote, married to the gopis, they are actually with someone else's wife, which is Krishna. But all men and women belong to Krishna. Everyone's body belongs to Krishna. It doesn't belong to us. And this is why in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Sanatana Goswami becomes very distraught because Lord Chaitanya is embracing his body that is oozing in certain ways, and then Sanatana Goswami, he wants to commit suicide. And Lord Chaitanya stops him and he says, how did you have the audacity to think that you will do this? How can you give up something that belongs to me? And there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya says, I have a lot of work to fulfill through your body, through my body which you have. This body of yours, he says, is mine, and I have a lot of work to fulfill through this. What right do you have to end this body? And this is why suicide is so sinful. Because it's not that, well, we're killing ourselves. We're killing what belongs to Krishna. We're destroying what belongs to him. It's not our body, it's his body. And through his hands, eyes, and legs, he's taking care of this whole world. Just like Krishna is taking care of every single living entity in this world. Krishna's taking care of every single child in this world. Every single toddler, baby, newborn, he's taking care of. How is he taking care of? Through his hands and legs in the form of the mother. He's taking care of that living entity in that particular body that's struggling. But because we're not so purified, he doesn't come personally, but he's taking care of that living entity through the mother and the father. They are taking care because they've been inspired by Krishna. Krishna's made them that way. It was just actually recently, Anuttara Prabhu was telling me there's this one book that was published by a Harvard professor, doctor, and she studies human emotions and all these things. And she's written this book that shows that before a woman has a child, she actually has many similarities with men. Boys and girls when they're teenagers, their girls can be very, they also are interested in playing, all these things, similar. But as soon as the lady has a child, it's amazing how, and she studied how the psychology changes. All of a sudden, it's like their mind, their hormones, everything, they become a mother. And they become unnaturally, based upon their previous, what was natural, unnaturally protective of the child. And you see this even in other species. That, normally they're friendly towards humans, something, but if an animal has a child, a bird, or even animal like that, they will risk their life. They start poking the human to protect their child. Now, where is that coming from, right? The mother didn't do anything. I mean, the girl before she became mother, she didn't do anything to change her mindset. So that's Krishna. Krishna, all of a sudden, through his hands and legs, is taking care of that child by changing the mindset of the mother. I mean, who made that change? Who made that biology? That they're just, become, all of a sudden, all their interests will change. She said all the interests, they're interested in, adventure, rock climbing, mountain climbing. But all of a sudden, when the baby comes, it's like all of that, it just doesn't matter. The child matters. They have unlimited patience for that child. They have an unlimited desire of protection. And none of that was developed by them. It's not like they read books and books, before they had the child. Krishna's put it in their body because it is his hands and legs that's taking care of every living entity in this world. And that's why the child of a caterpillar, of an alligator, of an elephant, and a human being are all being fed, are all being taken care of. Because Krishna has his eyes everywhere in this world, his hands and feet. Very powerful, actually, because we can think that how really we're instruments of Krishna. We think this and that, but we're actually instruments of Krishna. And if we just realize that and we actually start doing it for Krishna, then it becomes devotional service. And when we don't realize that and we do it for ourselves, then it's Maya, it's egoism, it's pride. Just that change of consciousness. That's why in the Gita it says the devotee does the same thing as a non-devotee does. Krishna says that is actually one Gita, that externally the activities of the transcendentalists and the materialists appear very similar. They're both doing the same thing. They're cooking, they're eating, they're sleeping, they're going on recreation, they're earning their money. But the difference is the consciousness. So the bodily platform is the platform Annamaya, dependence upon food for existence. Pranamaya, maintaining one's own survival, materialistic society. Jnanamaya, awareness of one's own thinking, feeling, willing. One appreciates the subtle interactions. Of mind, intelligence, emotions, aesthetics, etc. So there's different levels of consciousness, of realization. And this is, Prabhupada writes in a purport, explains this. And this is so true, right? You can see in the growth of a child, how they go through these different stages of consciousness. The first is Annamaya, right? It's all about food. It's so funny almost, like you see toddlers, they're always like they're just looking for food. It's like your mouth is constantly moving. Everything is about the mouth. It's just and they don't even have a realization of or an appreciation of who exactly is providing that food. The mother is important because it's a source of sustenance, but the emotional bond is actually made after some time. Because in a very small toddler, if you change the mother, they'll grow up thinking that's their mother because they're hardly even seeing them. Their eyes are closed. If they're open, they cannot see color in the beginning. They can't see shapes clearly. It's a blob, it's like this caretaker comes and takes care of them. But what they're trying to do is just food, right? Then pranamaya. Once we get food, but then the conscience develops, they're like, okay, how do we survive? Food is most essential for survival, but then it's like, okay, house, car, making money, all these things. And this is what most of society is, right? In materialistic society, graduation means moving from Annamaya to Pranamaya. I'm no longer a baby or child, so I'm just not worried about food. Now it's, I can get a job and I can work and I can earn money and get a big house. That's all just Pranamaya. Then if a person becomes a little more, educated, reflective, then it's Jnanamaya, awareness of one's thinking. The whole world is like talking about mindfulness, awareness, these things, because then, they become really stressed out, really disturbed, and then all of a sudden they need to start thinking about their feelings and thinking. One appreciates the subtle interactions of the mind, intelligence, emotions, and aesthetics. And when that advances more, one can start to realize, well, I'm not exactly this physical body. Maybe there's something higher. There's a mind, intelligence, emotions. And that is the Jnanamaya stage. Many of the Jnanis are on this stage. It's not just about physical pleasure for them. They can appreciate intellectual things. These are like the Brahmanas of the material world. Einstein, Thoreau, Emerson. These are like the great thinkers of society. And many people, actually, in any society, you'll find few of them. But there's, as a society as a whole, there's many people who are intellectuals. And they're more on the Jnanamaya stage. But then when we move higher, then we go to the Vijnanamaya, realization of the difference between the body and the spirit. So see, this starting platform 4, we're on the platform of transcendence. And the last one is Anandamaya. One identifies as a servant of the Supreme Lord. Yes, that is Anandamaya. So the devotee of the Lord is starting with Vijnanamaya. This is our training, right? Bhagavad Gita, difference between the body and the soul. And the devotee is passed through the three things. They don't care about the maintenance of the body. That can happen. Why spend your life on something that is available easily anywhere and everywhere? Just like Prabhupada says, why spend your life on getting grass when grass is available everywhere? Only the donkey thinks that only if I carry this heavy load can I get my grass. If I need food, I got to carry this heavy load. But it doesn't realize, no, I'm sorry, you don't have to carry it. The grass is available anywhere. No. I got to really carry this heavy load so I can earn a lot of grass and I can keep it in a big bucket. And I'll get it in a bucket. You see, then I get the grass in the bucket. But there's grass everywhere. You don't need it in a bucket. So that's the passing stage 3. Then they come to the stage of difference, realizing the difference between the body and the soul. And then after that, we actually strive. We make an effort to become a connoisseur of spiritual matters, spiritual bliss. We start to identify ourselves that, no, I am actually an eternal servant of Krishna. I actually have a relationship with him. Krishna's devotional service is so special, right? So we identify on the Anandamaya stage as someone connected with that unlimited source of bliss, as a servant of the Supreme Lord. So the Kshetra level is the Annamaya, Pranamaya, and Jnanamaya. The gross body, on those levels, one has the Annamaya and Pranamaya. So that's the food and existence, maintenance. And the subtle level is the Jnanamaya. One says, no, I'm going to leave this and get a PhD, let's study the world. Still, it's higher, it's better. In a classroom, out of 30 students, there'll generally be 1 or 2 that are actually intellectual. You can see they're going deep. The rest of them is just like, somehow have to get an A, and so I can get on and, play games. But 2 or 3 have the 1 or 2, they have the, drive to know. Even that is something very special. And then Kshetragya is the spiritual level, the level of the individual soul, realizing who I am, Vijnanamaya, truly am, and the Supreme Soul, realizing the source of all pleasure, Rama. Summarizing the philosophical conclusions of great sages, especially of Vyasadev's Vedanta Sutra, Krishna explains that the field of activities, kshetra, consists of the gross and subtle elements, the senses and sense objects. Transformations of this field cause desire and hatred, happiness and distress, etc. The knowledge of the field of activities and of the knower of activities is described by various sages in various writings. It is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to cause and effect. The Vedanta Sutra, we don't read it actually that much in ISKCON, but it's actually a very, very nice book. It really explains well the key philosophical points that are the core teachings of our tradition and the core teachings of the Bhagavatam, because the Bhagavatam expands on it and it describes it further. And it's written by Vyasadeva. The Bhagavatam is known as a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So the Vedanta Sutra is actually the text which the Bhagavatam is a commentary on. So how special it must be. It is Veda Anta, the end of the Vedas, in sutra form, very tight form. Text 6 describes the field of activity, the kshetra, further. There's 24 elements in this body. There's 5 great elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And pretty much all of modern science just studies these 5 things. Out of the 24, the whole advancement of science is just these 5 things. The 3 subtle elements, mind, intelligence, and ego, those are the 3 subtle elements. And the unmanifest, the pradhan, is the 5 knowledge inquiring senses, or acquiring senses, knowledge acquiring senses, the working senses, and the sense objects. So let's go through these. We know the mind, intelligence, and ego. What is the mind? The mind is thinking, feeling, willing, and it's the carrier of the senses. So sight, touch, taste, they have to be connected with the mind. Intelligence is the power of discrimination. It controls the mind and its hankerings. And ego is our sense of self. The unmanifest is pradhana. Pradhana is from which the 5 great elements, all these different elements that are material come out of. You have pradhana basically becomes prakriti, and purusha and prakriti combined. And then the unmanifest pradhana turns into the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. What are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses? Who wants to say? They shouldn't be inquiring, it should be acquiring. Which senses acquire knowledge? Yes, go ahead.
The eyes
Yes,
and the ears.
yes.
So for sight and hearing, the nose for smell, I guess the mouth for taste.
Mm.
That's 4. Oh, and the skin for touch.
Yes. But that's yeah. Yep. And the skin is the touch. Yes. Yes, exactly. You got it. Yes, Mataji. Thank you. All correct. Okay, so those are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. How about the 5 working senses?
Could be same, Prabhuji?
No, that's why I also, before used to think. So we have the eyes, the ears, the nose for smelling, the tongue for tasting, and the skin for touch. What are the 5 working senses? So with those, we acquire knowledge. These 5 senses, we acquire knowledge. Through the eyes, right, we're able to know what's there. We're able to see. Ears, we're able to hear. That's how we acquire, but we don't work with those things don't actually make it possible for us to draw a painting. We can acquire the knowledge of what a painting looks like, but what allows us to actually work?
On the five koshas.
In English. Ananda Gopika, Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It'll
Hare
be
Krishna.
hands, legs, genitals, mouth, and anus.
Yes, right. These are the five working senses. So we work with these with our hands. This is a sense. We work with our hands. We work with our legs. We work with our mouth. That's how we speak. With our tongue, we can taste, but we speak with our mouth. And then the genitals and anus, the workings of procreation and evacuation. Those are the five working senses. And then we have the five sense objects. So what are these five? And it's interesting that they also exist in the body. The body is made of 24 elements. Yes, they also exist in the body and they exist outside of the body. So we have the tongue, and what would be the sense object of the tongue? Because the tongue is one of the five knowledge acquiring senses. What's
Taste.
the taste? Perfect. What are the other four now, Prabhu, besides that?
It's the sound for ears.
Yeah, so taste.
Sound, shabda for ears.
Yes, and how does Prabhupada say it? Taste? Okay, yes, so we can say sound. Yes. Next one.
And touch for skin.
Touch. Yes.
And nose, smell.
Yes. And one.
Yeah, there's one more, and I'm
This one.
eyes, sight.
Very good. Okay. So those are the five sense objects. So this, I mean, once you actually break it down, it's common sense, right? It makes sense. Bhagavatam, Gita are so logical. These are the 24 elements of this world. Like, every single part has to be there. We don't think of it in this way, but the Gita is putting it in such a logical way, right? All of these things are things that we know we have that make sense, that we use on a daily basis. The five knowledge inquiring senses, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The five working senses, which is the voice, legs, hands, the anus, and the genitals. And the five sense objects, which is smell, taste, form, touch, and sound. So, in this place of sight, there's form. Because sight is actually a sense in some ways. It's a sight is a capacity, but the object is the form. And then regarding the mind, there's seven qualities of the mind. There's desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, and then life symptoms, consciousness, conviction. These are the seven qualities of the mind. Ichha, dvesha, desire, hatred, sukha, dukkha, happiness and distress. And then the mind is the carrier of the senses, and it's also the resting place of the soul. So therefore, it carries the consciousness, and this is why it said that manasa dehagyo, that or savai mana Krishna padaravindayo. Yeah, that's the one. That we must fix the mind on Krishna and how Krishna appears in the mind of the devotee, because the mind is so central. The mind is actually born out of sattva gun. And because it's born out of sattva gun, the Lord can actually manifest in the mind. So consciousness, conviction, these are all will, right? To live is to have a will. So consciousness and our will is a symptom of the mind and the aggregate. This is a little difficult, but aggregate can refer to pradhana, prakriti. All the aggregate of all nature is also present there in the mind. The body is the representation of all these factors, and there are the changes of the body which are 6 in number. The body is born, it grows, it stays, it produces byproducts, then it begins to decay, and at the last stage it vanishes. Therefore, the field is a non-permanent material thing. However, Kshetragya, the knower of the field, is, however, the Kshetragya, the knower of the field, its proprietor, is different. The 5 great elements are a gross representation of the false ego, which in turn represents the primal stage of false ego, technically called the materialistic conception or tamasa buddhi, intelligence in ignorance. So, if you look at creation in the Bhagavatam, after the pradhana, the first manifestation of pradhana is ahankar. So we have to understand that everything in this world, material, is simply a manifestation of ahankar. So this is the very important point here. So it's our body that is our false self. Even the world is our false self, because like philosophers say, my false conception of self is not just that I'm this body, but this home belongs to me, this car belongs to me, I am American. So the whole world is our false self, right? A very important point here. It's not just that our physical bodies are false self, the whole world is our false self. And that's why breaking out of ahankar is breaking out of this conception that I even belong to this world. I mean, we have to understand just how illusory our understanding is. Like, we have no connection with this material world, with anything matter. We're transcendental to it, we're beyond it. And we just create a false castle of this is my body, this is my house, these are my children, this is my wife, this is my husband. But actually, we are eternal parts and parcels of Krishna. We are lovers of Krishna. We are connected with each other through Krishna. So the relationships are true on the spiritual level, but not on the material level. Like Prabhupada says, on the material level, a man takes care of his family, and in the next life, he comes back in the same family as an insect or cat or dog. So what is the connection there? There's no permanent, no real connection. But if there is a connection, it's a spiritual connection. And that way we are connected. And so this is the end of the first section, texts 1 through 7. This is now starting the next section. So I'm going to stop here. It'll be a short class, but next time we'll finish the chapter. I thought we'll do it in two sections. It's an hour, full hour. So if there's any comments, questions, clarifications, please, you can share it now.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
I have quick question. Text 7.
Mm.
It says 7 qualities, but only I see 6 listed. Where is the 7th one?
Okay.
And it's based on the PowerPoint slide.
Yes, it's a good question. Okay. Let me pull up the verse itself. And chapter 13, text 7. Yeah, that's a very good question. Hmm. Let me see what's proper here. Hmm. Hmm. That's a good question. I cannot remember what the seventh is. Maybe there's two in the life symptoms. So there's life symptoms of consciousness and conviction, like we were saying, being conscious and having convictions or will, right? There's one philosopher, Schopenhauer, which says to will is to live, right? When we don't have a will, then there's like a table or chair has no will. Um, this is actually a very nice reflection or thought in terms of AI, because now people say, look, AI is conscious. It can drive your car, right? Self-driving is conscious. It's obviously conscious, but no, um, it's not conscious. But even if it is, it has no will. Right? It's just a puppet it's a robot that's made by someone else. So maybe the sixth and seventh are both their number six. That's the only thing I can think of. But that's a nice question. If someone finds the answer to that, please do let us know.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. Consciousness, conviction can be the sixth and seventh, but
Yes.
just wanted to confirm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Anything else anyone have? Any other questions, comments?
Can I
Okay.
ask
Yeah,
one more question?
sure.
So
Sure, Prabhu.
this chapter particularly is very tough for me to understand.
Mm.
I mean, so what is your recommendation how we look at this chapter from an angle or anything that you can share as a tip?
Yeah, so actually the thing is that I actually also felt this was very philosophically dense. That's why we only did seven texts. But at least those seven texts should be clear to you, right? They should now make sense to you. And then we'll do the rest of them next time and discuss those more. Because, like you're saying, it is a very complex chapter. Discussing it together, going through it, understanding what each one of these concepts means, what is Krishna referring to in those verses, that will greatly help us. So that's why we have this discussion together and we talk and we discuss it, because you're right, it's to understand the Gita is such a, especially this chapter is very complex. Prabhupada's purports illuminate everything. We don't have time to go through all the purports. I just give you some quotations here and there. But if you have the time, if you read the purports, then everything becomes clear. Also, the study guide is there, which is very helpful. We have a Gita study guide. We could share it again if needed. So yeah, those things that's the only thing that comes to my mind. But yeah,
Okay.
yes, yes. Okay, anything else? All right, so I'll stop here. Apologies again for the change in time. But so this week we did the class. Starting next week, we'll do it on Saturday. And then what will happen is once in a while, like, if there's for some reason I cannot do it at all, then I may change the day. Like, we'll do it Tuesday night that week, because I found over time, rather than skipping it, it's better that at least we get it done. So this gives a little flexibility, because life happens. Sometimes there's Saturday, just you're on a flight, or you just cannot, I just cannot do it. So then we have the option of doing it sometimes on Tuesday as well. Devi Murthy, you have the hand up, please.
Hare Krishna, this is Sita actually.
Hare Krishna, Sita. Yes.
The class was, I really liked the class. I had a reflection that I liked how you were saying the 24 items of the body. Like in the body, there are 24 elements. And then I liked how Krishna made like everything like perfect, like the working senses, and then knowledge acquiring senses, and etc.
Mm. So you really liked that. Yes. Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? How Krishna makes this body so complex and so capable of so many things, right? And um, that's why people say, well, we can reproduce humans. Basically, the whole project of AI and computers is that, well, we can make other living beings like God can, that possess the same qualities, consciousness, and all these things. Fine, that's the effort. And fine, it may even be possible. Let's say it's possible. But it'll never be possible for someone to actually make a conscious being like we know, because we cannot reach that level of complexity ever. I, aside from the fact that the quality is different, is spiritual, but even if we forget that for a moment, the complexity of the body is so great that there's no comparison. They may say, well, this is so advanced, all these things, but all that advancement is not even 1% of the human brain, right? I mean, this is an secular scientists have noted that people say, well, can a computer be conscious or can it not? But they say, well, first of all, let's be realistic. You haven't even come close to making a human being, right? So, well, oh, that was in the past, but now with AI, we're coming closer. But AI can do such amazing things, but only on the computer, right? Imagine on, the sensitivities in our fingers, right? The relationships that we have, the appreciation for music, the tastes that we have, the sights, and how the body all brings it all together. They make a robot that can run like an Olympic, and most of them, even to this day, they tumble over and they just fall over. And all that robot is trying to do is run as fast as the Olympic runner, and they can't do it. None of the other faculties, the million faculties, the emotions, the thoughts, the mind, the feelings that go through a human person are replicated in that robot, in that most advanced AI robot. And we say, oh, we made a human being. No, you just made the shell of it. You didn't even come 1% close. Science knows that there's something like 1 trillion neurons firing in our brain at any time, right? 1 trillion, and that's just our brain. Then there's trillions of cells. So Krishna has shown a level of complexity that is so great that they say if even 1 million scientists studied the human brain for 1 million years, they still would not complete it, right? So this is what evolutionary biologists have said. They ask the question, will ever science know for certain whether or not we came with the process of evolution? And the best scientists, the ones who are true, they don't say yes or no. They say we cannot know. Because you can't know whether or not the human body can develop from a process of evolution until you actually study the human body. And they say to actually study the human body and to understand all parts of it would take 1 million scientists 1 million years, and we haven't had 1 million years to study it, nor will we ever. And so therefore, it's not even possible to know, because we cannot study the body so much. And this is just one body, the human body. Think about the insects, the plants, the trees, the animals, right? So it's just a big farce. The whole AI thing. Well, we made consciousness. It's just a farce, because how detailed and complex Krishna's made this world and this body. So yes, Sita, on one hand, Krishna has given us the 24 elements that make so much sense. But on the other hand, we have to understand that the interactions between these 24 elements is unlimitedly complex. It's extremely complex, which the scriptures explain to us so simply, but it's not anything simple. It's very amazing. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Today is Gopal Hari Prabhu's birthday.
I-
I ask all the devotees to give the blessings to my father.
Hare Krishna. You didn't have to tell everyone. Thank you, everyone. And
That's so sweet.
we-
May you always serve Krishna, Prabhu. Happy
thank you.
birthday, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hence the delay in the class today. So that was my excuse. Thank you.
Very happy Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
We are blessed to have you and attend your class.
Thank you. It's my blessing to be with all of you. Hare Krishna. We'll see you all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Happy birthday.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare Krishna, Bhaiya.
Happy Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Okay, so see you all next week.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.